Well, this is just disturbing. There's a bombshell new report out of the New York Times detailing Errol Musk, Elon Musk's father, and allegations of child sexual abuse against his own own children and stepchildren. Now, when I first saw Errol Trump, I definitely got villainous vibes from him. But then going through this piece, my goodness, it's just horrifying stuff. I'll get to what I find to be the most notable part in a second here, but Mediaite had a summary of this extensive investigation done by the New York Times. Elon Musk's estranged father, Errol Musk, has been accused of sexually abusing some of his children and stepchildren, an incident spread over more than 3 decades, according to this New York Times piece titled Elon Musk's Father Accused of Child Sexual Abuse. The sprawling investigation published Tuesday surfaces claims detailed in police records and family correspondence in the form of letters, emails, and pleas for help from relatives. Allegations date back to 1993 when Errol Musk's then 4-year-old stepdaughter told relatives he had touched her when the family lived in South Africa. A decade later, after the family had moved to California, the same stepdaughter said she caught Errol Musk sniffing her dirty underwear. The incident was reported to police. Complaint was filed with the city's Child Protective Services. And before going further, the part that just is so horrifying, because of course he denies these allegations, but there's one part he doesn't deny that to me confirms just how dangerous of a person he is, which is you heard his stepdaughter, when she was 4, told her relatives about the underwear and the touching. And then that same stepdaughter, Errol Musk, went on, when she became an adult, to get pregnant. Now that part of it is claimed to be a quote-unquote consensual relationship. But there is something, and I'm shocked we don't have laws against this, so sick about having a stepchild, at least since they were 4 years old, and then when they become an adult, you have a relationship with them. And that you can see the family tree here in the New York Times article. Errol has said they have 2 children together. His stepdaughter said only one of her children is his. So we continue forward. In 2009, the former stepdaughter, then 21, living in South Africa, alleged in an interim protection order that Errol Musk kissed her and stuck his tongue into her throat. In the same filing, Times added she accused him of abusing his 2 daughters and a stepson who had since died. And then it goes on to say Musk obviously denies these allegations, called them nonsense. When family members and social worker reportedly intervened after Errol Musk's 5-year-old son claimed his father had groped his buttocks. The newspaper said 3 separate police investigations were opened, according to police and court records, as well as family members, though Errol Musk was never convicted of anything. And then it kind of talks about how the relatives were reaching out to Elon Musk for help, and he's provided some money to a relative. Elon Musk didn't specifically comment on this, but it references a Rolling Stone article and the detached relationship between Elon and Errol. Now we're getting some more background on, and we're reminded of this one. Elon Musk has described a difficult relationship with Errol on a rare occasion. When he's commented on his father, he told Rolling Stone in 2017 that his father had done almost every evil thing you could possibly think of. In the profile, Musk said he had gone to live with his father at age 10 while his younger siblings, Kimball and Tosca, stayed with their mother. I felt sorry for my father because my father had all 3 kids. He seemed very sad and lonely by himself, so I thought I can be company. He continued, I didn't really understand at the time what kind of person he was. It was not a good idea. My dad will have a carefully thought out evil plan. He will plan evil. So, I mean, I knew that whoever had produced Elon was not going to be normal or what I would see as a good father. But this kind of starts to dive into the extent of the harm that Errol Musk did to his family and the person that he is, despite kind of trying to stay in the public eye. And that brings us to this next clip while I play it. Please do, if you appreciate the show, click the subscribe button. It is free, but it supports the work that we do here. And this kind of we'd covered this separately back when Elon accused Trump of being in the Epstein files. We've now learned that Elon's in the Epstein files. So with this very notable part that says that's in the calendar entry, Epstein's, and it's like trip to, and as the reporting went, an island. Is this still happening? So we're only left to wonder, what island did that happen? And now Elon is swept up in all this. But take yourself back to when Elon made that post, time to drop the big bomb, Trump's in the Epstein files. That's why he's covering them up. That was the post. Errol was doing these interviews to discuss the situation. Now it's sort of like, why are you even putting yourself out there? You clearly aren't a reliable or credible source to speak. You don't have a good relationship with the person that we want to know about, so just get out of here. But he made this comment that was so ominous.
In 3 weeks in America, the people are, I'd like to say 80%, but actually 100% behind Trump. So...
why do you think your son brought up the Epstein files at this particular moment? What was his thinking there, do you think?
Well, I have no idea. I don't know what he was thinking. And, I think, people lash out when they under stress. I can only imagine that's just a silly mistake. Besides, nobody this is also nonsense because, let the innocent person cast the first stone, I'd say, Nobody's innocent, of anything, so I don't know what the idea would be.
What? You're talking about an accusation relating to the cover-up of a child trafficking scheme. And Errol says no one's innocent of anything, which is the least coherent statement ever. Actually, most of us are innocent of most things. Errol. The whole last time we covered him, I called him Errol. So I might go back to that. I think that's a better name. Errol. And it was so weird. I remember, I wish I'd grabbed the clip of me going, what? What do you mean none of us are innocent of anything? Yeah, we're all, other than people who aren't very specifically innocent of the Epstein-related crimes. And I think that was a little seeping out of his guilty conscience. Again, think about having a 4-year-old. There's other specific stories that are being alleged, but to me, just the clear, because he hasn't denied it, the clear bombshell about who this man is imagine having a 4-year-old stepdaughter and then waiting for her to be an adult and impregnating her and engaging in a sexual relationship with her. To me, that is a sick person thing to do, not to mention everything else outlined in the New York Times article. And so that gives me a little bit more of an explanation as to why during the Epstein allegations he would go, well, what's the point? Let the innocent person throw the first stone. Okay, give me a stone, I'll do it. Then me, Cole, everyone watching this, hopefully. One other part that just was so notable here.
Majority of the people in America, I've just spent 3 weeks in America, the people are, I'd like to say 80%, but actually 100% behind Trump. So...
why do you think your son brought up the Epstein files at this particular moment? What was his thinking there, do you think?
Well, I have no idea. I don't know what he was thinking. And, I think, people lash out when they under stress. I can only imagine that's just a silly mistake.
A silly mistake. What a twisted world we're in. Alleged child sex abuser. You know what? I don't even need to say alleged. I see it as abuse, what has been confirmed about the stepdaughter. An abuser talking about his son, who also apparently was friends with Epstein, who's accusing Trump of impropriety with Epstein. And the abuser father, estranged from the son he's talking about, mostly, says, well, that was just a silly mistake, making that allegation. And Now with these allegations out against you, I think I made a comment about this months ago when we looked at this clip originally. Don't ever record an interview from this camera angle. I'm ready to lock you up just based off of this camera angle. If any of you are out there, I get that there's a little bit of a generational divide about how many people are really comfortable with hopping on interviews and how to set up their camera and whatever. But you should not let the camera look up your nostrils. And your lighting shouldn't make it look like you're trying to do horror stories around a campfire on a camping trip, okay? Okay, you take that down. Oh my gosh, he really freaks me out. And then you'll remember after this, have you ever seen this clip, Cole? Have y'all seen this after this little debacle? There was this thing, and Elon, I don't know if y'all have ever seen it, but he did this thing. They got a lot of attention. He was saying, my heart goes out to you, and different things. And, people reached out to Musk's dad saying, hey, is Elon Musk a racist? And Elon Musk's dad, Errol, says, no. He's not a racist. We had these black servants in South Africa, and he was like really nice with them. The headline was, Musk's dad says, Elon's not racist. He was friends with black servants. Here's the quote to the Washington Post. We had several black servants who were their friends. Errol touted an email to the Washington Post in response to questions about his son's hostility toward diversity, equity, and inclusion. What a kind of psycho. Mr. Errol, why is your son so annoyed at DEI? Well, how could he possibly be racist? We had black servants. And he told me once he thought they were like people. And I said, wow, I never thought of that before. Ugh. So that's that. I thought y'all might find that interesting and disturbing.